Welcome to Easy Peasy Books, From Author to Authority, the lively and engaging podcast for business professionals who've always believed they have a book in them. I'm your host, Gillian Whitney. Join me as I chat with authors and industry experts from all around the world to explore simple strategies to write, publish, and leverage your business book. Whether you're an entrepreneur, executive, or an employee, this podcast is for you. Woo-hoo-hoo, and we're live once again on another Tuesday, and today it's just me doing a solo live. I got Bitmo Gillian around here somewhere, and she's going to help me out. And I have an interesting topic today. So my topic today is called Cracking the ISBN Code, an Essential Step in Your Publishing Journey. So you may be wondering, why are you doing a live about this? Like, it sounds like just like something you tell people in 5 minutes and be done with it. Why would you want to spend, 30 minutes talking about ISBN numbers? Well, tell you a couple things. Number one, come from a library background. I used to work at the library for, about five years, way back when. And knowing the importance of the ISBN was a big part of my job. So I kind of knew this before I even got into being publishing books and being involved with doing book services and helping people with their books. So I knew the importance of the ISBN. But to be honest with you, I didn't realize how involved it actually is. And there's many, many decisions that you need to make before you publish your book, because you don't want to be doing this research at the 11th hour, because then you're making it under stress. So anyways, I thought by kind of going through some of the stuff that when I'm working with my clients and helping them publish their books, we have to talk about this kind of stuff. I thought I'd just let everybody know about it. So Bitno Gillian has been busy, and she went ahead and put a little slide together to keep me on track so I don't go off topic, because I tend to do that sometimes. So, okay, let's go through. I'm going to go ahead and take down the banner, and I just want to let people know, if you have any questions, please pop them into the chat and I will address them towards the end. And hopefully, if you have anything, even if you're later watching on the replay, put your questions in, because I'm happy to answer it. But wait till the end, because I might already have covered it. So there's a lot to cracking the ISBN code. So I'm actually just going to get on and get cracking with it. So the first thing is, what on earth is even an ISBN? So an ISBN stands for International Standard Book Number. And it's a 13-digit code. Used to be a 10-digit code, but there's so many books they had to say, well, we need to up it. So now there's actually 13 digits. And every different digit has meaning in terms of what country is issuing it and who's the publisher, and on it goes. So there is a method to the madness. I'm not going to go through and break that all up, because that'd be kind of boring. But I just want to tell you that the ISBN number, think of it like the VIN, the vehicle ID number for your car. And it's the same sort of thing. And that if you own a car, if you go out and you have a look at the VIN number of your car, you will find that it can be looked up and it will tell you all sorts of stuff about your car, where it's made, what was the model, what was the color. It does everything. And if you think about it, if everybody steals your car, the first thing they do is they want to, rip off the VIN number, or they scratch it, or they get rid of it, because it identifies it. It's almost like a fingerprint. So the same is true for the ISBN. It is like that VIN for your car, except it's for a book, of course. So an ISBN actually holds so much information, and they refer to it in the book industry as metadata. And metadata is such a funny word. If you look it up, it's the data about the data. So it's just like, what? So metadata inside the ISBN, there's all this information that when somebody looks up the number, and you can actually go to Bowker Bookwire and you can type in the ISBN number for a book, and you will find that it tells you the metadata, which is the title, the subtitle. It'll tell you the publisher. It'll tell you the publishing date. It will tell you when the book, how many pages are in the book, who's the publisher, the trim size of the book. It has so much information, and oftentimes it even has a description of the book and even a picture of the book. So there's a lot of information inside that one little number, and it's amazing that it has all that. So you might say, okay, so where do I even find an ISBN? So you pick up a book, and I've just got an example here. So this is one of my books, and you're always going to find the ISBN is listed on the copyright page. If I can find it. Okay, there we go. It's always going to be on the copyright page. And also, too, it's going to be on the back cover of the book. And that's where you're going to find the ISBN number. And when it's on the back cover of the book, you might see it's inside a barcode. That's actually how you're going to see it. Not that you might see it. That's how you're going to see it. It's inside the barcode. But what I want you to realize is the barcode is that. It is a barcode. It is not the ISBN number. The ISBN is actually inside the barcode. And I'm going to talk about the barcode too as we kind of move on through today. So there's two places you're going to see an ISBN number in a book, on the copyright page, and then also on the back cover. So another question is, when do I actually need an ISBN number? Is it mandatory? Do I always have to have it? Well, the short answer is it's mandatory if you're going to sell the book. So if you're going to do commercial sales, which means it's going to be in bookstores, it's going to be on places like Amazon, it's going to be all these different places, then yes, you do need to have an ISBN. However, if you're just writing a book like my father wrote a book, it was a family history book for our family. He gave it away to, a couple of us. That's a private book that doesn't have anything. And I think even if you give a book that like maybe it's something that you give away to clients, it's never going to be for sale anywhere. Probably don't need to deal with an ISBN number for that. However, I am not a lawyer, so I wouldn't want to say never ever. But essentially, if you plan to sell your book, whether it's online or in a bookstore or even just off your website, then you want to have the ISBN number so that your book is discoverable. So I hope that makes sense. So here's the tricky bit. And this is the sort of thing that it was just like, I knew this when I worked in a library, but I didn't know how much this mattered so much than when I went to publish my first book. You actually need an ISBN number for every single format of your book. So if you're writing one book and you're doing a paperback version and a hardcover version and the ebook and the audiobook, you need a separate ISBN for every single format that you have, which means that you can't just get one ISBN number and say, well, I'll use it for all of them. No. You have to get a ISBN for every single format. And when you find out what it costs, you'll see how that can very, very quickly add up. So before we get to the costs, let's talk about where you actually get your ISBNs, because this is the thing that I learned when I started publishing books. So it really depends upon where you live. So if you live in the United States, you're going to go through Bowker. Bowker also serves people in Australia. Why it's the United States and Australia, I have no idea, but those are the two countries that Bowker serves, Australia and the United States. If you live in the UK, you're going to go through Nielsen, and they also take care of people in Ireland as well. So that's what's covered with Nielsen. What if you live in, say, for instance, Canada? Well, you actually go through I think it's like the National Archives and Libraries of Canada. That's where you get your different ones in Canada. Now, they actually have an organization which is called the ISBN, International Organization. I have their website. It's just isbn-international.org. And if you just go ahead and Google that in, what you will find is you will see a listing for every single country. So depending on where you are. So when I was in Israel, I would have gone through an Israel agency. If I was living in Canada, I would go through the Canadian agency. It's all about where you live. Now, what's interesting is, even though I'm a Canadian, I don't live there now. So I have to go through Bowker. So it's where you actually physically live. That's where you need to go and get your ISBN. So One of the things is that when you go to purchase an ISBN with one of these international organizations, you have to do what's called set up your publishing imprint, which is essentially just setting up your name. Now, here's where I caution you to choose wisely, because you have to figure out, what name am I going to use if I self-publish for my book? Am I going to just put it like my personal name? Because that looks kind of weird. If you think about, you'd like to get your book in a bookstore one day, would you just want to have Gillian Whitney publish the book, written by Gillian Whitney, published by Gillian Whitney? It doesn't sound very professional. So what I chose to do is I chose to go with the name of my company because I have an LLC. So I chose to just use that, made it real easy peasy, because that's what I'm about, always making things easy peasy. But you could also use a fictitious name, and a lot of people do this. So I could have used Easy Peasy Books Press. I could just make up a name, or I could just have something totally different called Bitmos R Us Press. I can just do whatever I want. But the question that you might want to get some legal advice on, because I am not a lawyer, is, would you then need to have a doing business as, based upon where you are located, for you to be using that fictitious name? Because what if you can't just randomly pick something. I could just say, oh, I'm going to just call my publishing company Penguin Press. It's like, well, the Penguin Press people might get a little upset if I start using their name. So think it through, choose wisely, because once you set that up, it's a little difficult to change. Plus, if it's already in a book, then you have to think about, that's going to be kind of going with it. So really think about what name you're going to use as part of your publishing imprint, which shows that you are the publisher of that book. All right. So let's get into the nitty gritty about what it costs to actually get ISBNs. And this is actually when I fainted. I was just like, I can't believe how expensive these are. So in the United States, and I'm just going to talk about the United States because every single country is different. And I'll just tell you, if you're from the UK, your prices are pretty much in line with what they are here in the United States. So, of course, you're talking pounds as opposed to dollars, but we're roughly about the same. So to get one single ISBN, it is $125. And if you think back when I told you that you need to have an ISBN for all the different formats, start thinking about how quickly that can add up. So what a lot of people do to save money, because I told you we talk about saving money, is they might buy a 10-pack. And if you buy a 10, and that's what I did, you can buy a 10-pack, and for $295, I got 10. And I knew I was going to do several books. So I would not recommend doing this if you just think you got one book in you, why buy a 10-pack? It doesn't make any sense. But if you think, no, I'm really going to be doing a lot of books, you might want that 10-pack, because now all of a sudden your individual ISBNs, instead of being $125, they're going to be $29.50 because you just divide by 10. Thank you. Thank you, universe, for giving me an easy number to divide. So that's one way. There's even more. You can buy a pack of 100 and they get cheaper, and you can even buy a pack of 1,000. But I don't know anybody who's going to get a pack of 1,000. That's a lot. Although I do know somebody who got a pack of 100. So wow, determined. So what about Amazon? So this is the brilliant thing about Amazon, and people are absolutely polarized on this. I actually think it's brilliant that Amazon will give you a free ISBN. And I'm going to tell you, quite honestly, when I published my very first book, I took advantage of that because I thought, what if I don't even want to hit the button? I just thought, I don't know if I really feel like committing $125 for this book on the get-go when I don't even know if it's going to be any good. What if nobody ever buys it? It was just like I was hesitant to invest a lot of money. And I thought that made perfect logical sense for me to use the one that Amazon gives you, especially too, because I decided to do an ebook and I decided to do a paperback. And so again, you have to start thinking that you want an ISBN for every single format, did I really want to spend that much money? And I wasn't ready to buy a 10-pack. So that's cool. Now, what I later found out, and I did not know this at the time, is that there's this secret thing on Amazon that nobody tells you. It's kind of like buried in a help topic, and that Amazon actually provides you with a $99 discount rate if you want to buy your ISBN on Bowker through them. So this is only going to help people in the United States and I guess Australia. And you click on this link and it actually goes. Now, I can't put this in the live. So if you want to know where this link is, send me a DM and I'll get you figured out. But anyways, I thought that was kind of a cool thing that you can get a one-time 99 ISBN instead of paying $125. So that's kind of cool. So let's go back to the free ISBN because that is something that I recommend for first-time authors and for people who aren't sure if they're going to do a bunch of books. So this is always my recommendation. And I don't think there should be shame with saying, I want to use the free ISBN. So let's talk about the pros and the cons because I always like people to be as educated as possible. So the pros is that number one, on Amazon, and a lot of people don't know this, you actually do not need to have an ISBN for your Kindle book. So if you make a Kindle book, it doesn't matter if you also make a paperback, you actually don't have to waste any ISBNs on a Kindle book. Amazon doesn't care. It doesn't require them. Neither does Apple Books. There's a bunch of places. I think Barnes and Noble Press online, they don't require it on the Kindle books either. But some of the aggregators, which are places where you would sign up and they push out your book to multiple platforms, they do require an ISBN for a Kindle book. So that would be Draft to Digital and Ingram Spark. So they actually do. But let's just go back to Amazon. If you are just doing a Kindle book only, no ISBN required. So if you're wasting an ISBN number on your Kindle book, you can, but you don't need to. Now, the only reason why you might want to do that is if you have visions down the road that, no, I also want to publish my ebook somewhere else, then it perfectly makes sense. So just putting that out there. With Amazon, your paperback and your hardback, they will give you an ISBN for free. So you could do your ebook, a paperback, and a hardback, and you would get your two free ones, one with the paperback, one with the hardback from Kindle, no cost. So that's great. Now, the nice other thing too, which is a pro, is that you don't have to register it. Amazon takes care of that for you. It's like literally as you're uploading your book, it just says, do you want to use your own ISBN or one of ours? And you just say, one of yours, please. And it says, okay, gotcha. And it assigns it to you and you're done. If you purchase your own ISBN, you actually have to go to the agency that you bought it with, and you have to register this. And this actually can take this can take some time. You have to type in all that metadata. Remember the metadata I talked about, the title, the subtitle, number of pages, the trim size, the description. All of that stuff is now on you as the publisher to go back in and put it with the ISBN. And you got to keep track of these. If you buy a pack of 10, you have to make sure that you have some sort of like spreadsheet or something that keeps track that I use this ISBN for this edition of my book, and keep really good notes because you can't reuse those ISBNs later. It's one per format. So the registration can be a little stressful. I didn't know what I was doing the first time, and I was like taking my heart in my hand. I decided actually to change my title, and I realized it was too late because I had already inputted it into the Bowker. And once that was done, if I wanted to change the title, I had to throw away the ISBN and start from scratch. And it was just like, well, there was no way I was going to do that. So I became committed on the title. So there's not a lot of room for messing it up. And so you have to be very, very careful when you register. So the fact that Amazon would do it for free is a good deal. So what are the cons? Because there is always cons to things. So first of all, know that Amazon will be your publisher, not you. So if that matters to you, think about that. Now, when a book is out, and remember I showed you, I told you earlier that on BookWire, you can type in an ISBN number and you'll see the publisher. Well, what you would see is independently published. That's all it says. So it doesn't say Amazon is your publisher. They don't own your rights. There's nothing like that. It's just that you're using their ISBN. And so it's going to show to the world that this is independently published. Now, that's code for everybody to know that you were with Amazon, but it's so minor. It's so minor. So I don't think it looks unprofessional. Maybe you do, but I don't think it does. So that's one thing. Now, this is the biggest con, is that you can't take that number, that ISBN that Amazon gives you. You can't take it with you, which means you can't take that ISBN and use it on another platform. So if you decide later, you know what, I think I want to put my book on draft to digital, you can't take the number that Amazon gave you and now use that somewhere else, which kind of makes sense. It'd be like if you came to my house and you want to sleep over and I said, okay, great. And I, made a bed up for you in the spare bedroom and this and that. When you go to leave, you can't take my sheets. Sheets belong on the bed. You can't take the bed with you either. It's that same sort of idea. So you can't take that number with you. However, what you can do is you can just go up ahead and apply for an ISBN later and go somewhere else. So that's something to think about. That's something I actually did with one of my books. I used the actually, no, hang on. That's something I did with an ebook. So a Kindle book, I actually went because I didn't need an ISBN for my Kindle book. So I went ahead and I applied for an ISBN for that Kindle book and put it out on draft to digital. So because I didn't need the ISBN in the first place, I didn't use Amazon's. So there we go. And then the last thing is, the con is, if you change your mind, it's a bit of a pain. So if you decide down the road, okay, I did my book. So here, I'm going to use Jeff Young as an example. So Jeff did his book, Be Effective on LinkedIn. And when we worked with Jeff decided he was cool with using the free one. If Jeff said today, after watching this live, that, hey, you know what, I think I'd rather go and spend the money and I want to have my book now with an ISBN, how would I do that? Well, you can do it, but it's a lot of work because what you actually have to do is unpublish your book that's now using the ISBN from Amazon. And we would have to republish the book with the new ISBN after Jeff bought it. And then we would have to ask Amazon, can you please take all those reviews and attach it to the new book? So you can see that can be a lot of work. So it doesn't mean it can't be done. It just means it's a little bit of a pain if you want to do that. Okay. So I talked about earlier that you get this barcode. And if you look at the back of any book, you're going to see a barcode. And traditionally, it's in the bottom right corner. And when you look at that barcode, it has the ISBN, but it sometimes has other stuff. Sometimes it has a little, if it's with Amazon, it'll have this kind of QR code, and it will also have, sometimes the price is actually built in. And again, that's something that you can do, put the price, not put the price. And the barcode is a whole other beast. And unfortunately, this is where a lot of authors kind of get sucked in that when you go to these book agencies like Bowker or Nielsen's, they want you to buy their barcodes as well. And they sell those as an add-on. And I'm just going to say, you can save yourself a lot of money because you don't have to buy one. You can, number one, if you're using Amazon, even if you have your own ISBN number, you can ask Amazon, can you just make the barcode for me? And it will. There are also all sorts of places out there on the internet where you just type in your information and they will make the barcode for you for free. So it's really easy to do. So don't waste your money buying barcodes. So that's what I have to say on that. So the question is, when do you get a new ISBN? So it's like you published your book, and then down the road, if you want to do anything with that book, you have to have this decision tree of, how does this affect my ISBN? Do I have to get a new one, or am I good to go with using the old one? So Basically, if you have a new edition, so if you're going to call your book, it's enough changes that it's now considered a whole second edition. So you pulled a bunch of stuff out, you put a bunch of new stuff in, and now it's called second edition, you need a new ISBN. If you change the title, like when I screwed up my title and I said, I'm going to live with it. If I wanted to have changed the title, I would have had to have a new ISBN, and the other one would just be totally wasted, never even published with it. Just I'd have to eat it. If you change the trim size, so with Jeff's book, we're talking about a book that's 5.5 by 8.5. If Jeff decided he wanted to make this a taller book, like a 6 by 9, we would need to get a new ISBN. Also, if you have a different language. So I have a situation where the lovely Tina Jarvitt, she put out a book, which is How to Be Found by Recruiters on LinkedIn. And Tina got a brilliant idea that she might like to do this in another language, which she had her book translated into Spanish. And when she did that, she was required to have a whole new ISBN. Now, Tina saved money because she went ahead and had it done with Amazon. And if you think about it, Tina now has 2 books of her own that she has written, and she co-wrote a book with me, which is Your Voice Matters. And she has it in paperback and she has it in ebook. And so if Tina had gone and bought an ISBN for every single one of those formats, she'd have spent a lot of money. So just makes you realize. So language translations are another reason for a brand new ISBN. When do you not need an ISBN? If it's just a minor update, they say about 10%, like if just fixing typos and that sort of thing, it doesn't need it. If you change the price of your book, you don't need to have a new ISBN. If you get a brand new cover, you upload a new cover, you don't have to change the ISBN. And if you go to a different distribution platform, so say, for instance, my friend Annette, she has put her book up on put her book up on Amazon. If Annette decides, and she used her own ISBN numbers, by the way, for both Kindle and for her paperback. If she decided, you know what, I want to have my books now on Ingram Spark and Draft to Digital and Apple Books and all these different places, then she can take her ISBNs with her. So they are not dependent upon the platform. Okay, final word on ISBNs. They can't be reused. So if you use one for one book and you screw it up, that's it. It's dead. It can't be used again. They don't go into a pot. You can't sell them. So I can't buy a 10-pack and then start giving them away to friends, or, I can't sell them and I can't give them away. So they can't be given to other people. So they belong to you. They are owned by the publisher. So if you go out there and you use a traditional publisher to publish your book, and say, for instance, you're like Tina, you have an English book, and then later you decide, you know what, I'd like to have my book in another language. Well, you would have to go and get your own ISBN and republish that book. So that's just something to think about. The publisher is the one who owns the book. And also, too, ISBNs do not give you any kind of legal footing. It's not a copyright. And also, ISBNs are forever. So I'm going to hop and see if I have any questions, and I will hop over and see who is here with me today. I'm sorry, I really went on long and long. Okay, so I got Tina here. She says the ISBN code decision has to be thought through, and we can only make a decision when we know our options. Yes, and I remember when I was first telling Tina about this, and she was like, wow, there's so much to know. There's so much to know. Yes, there is. Jeff says, thank you for sharing this valuable information, Gillian. Namaste. Yay. Thanks, Jeff. And Jeff has his popcorn. He's ready to learn. I love it. Mac is here. Hey, Mac, it's lovely to see you. Ready for this, Gillian. I like that. That might mean that Mac's thinking about writing a book, or he's in the process of writing a book. And Jeff is saying hi to Mac. And Jeff says, I was actually involved in the project at OCLC, which is the Online Library Catalog. And that's the same place I worked. And they increased the size of the ISBN. It was fun. I bet you going from 10 to 13 digits, that must have just been like, wow. So D is here. D Jones says, oh, wow, this is awesome information. I'm learning so much. Yes. And I know you're working on a book, Di. So yes, this is good information to know about. And of course, you'll go through Nielsen's because you're over in the UK. Jeff says, it was great that Amazon gave us a free ISBN for KDP. I was fine only publishing on Amazon. So yeah, and you can always change your mind later if you want to. So that's good to know. And by the way, that free ISBN, you don't have to be American for that. That's anywhere in the world. So that's kind of good to know. So just know Tina used it in Brussels. You know, we've had people using it in the UK. It's not an American thing. It's like based upon where you are. So if you're in France or Germany or Israel, it doesn't matter. They'll still give you that free ISBN. So that's kind of good. Jeff says, thanks for showing my book and not changing my mind. He says, we steered him on the correct path. But again, I always like people to know what they're looking at so that they totally understand. And so Di says, this has been enormously helpful. I'm sure I will re-listen. Thank you ever so much for this information. Yes. So I just want to tell you guys a kind of a funny little story, and I'll come back and check. Trudy had a comment. I want to just tell you that anybody who knows me knows that one of my favorite books is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And when I was sort of preparing for this, I decided I would just go and see how many ISBN numbers there is for The Alchemist, because they recently did, recently meaning several years ago, did I think like the 25th anniversary edition. So they did a whole brand new edition of that. And I just thought, okay, The Alchemist has had a special 25th anniversary edition. It has been an ebook, paperback, hardback, also been audiobook. It has gone through a number of different publishers. So I thought, wow, it'd be kind of cool to know how many ISBNs have been assigned to The Alchemist. So I went to Google Bard, which is now called Gemini, and I typed it in and I said, okay, can you tell me? And I think I almost broke the internet because it said, it is impossible to tell you. There is just numerous times that book has been reissued. There's no way it could do that. And so then I thought, okay, in addition to all of that I talked about, the multiple formats of The Alchemist, I also realized it had been translated into a couple of languages. I was thinking of Tina's book and I thought, well, I'm sure The Alchemist has been translated into a couple of languages. So then I asked Google Gemini that, and it said The Alchemist has been translated into over 80 different languages. So you just think about 80 languages, and you think about at least 4 formats. And then you think of multiple publishers, multiple years, multiple, on and on and on it goes. And you just go, I don't know how many, but it just makes you realize ISBNs are really, really important. So I'll just have a quick peek at Trudy's comment. She says, I'm working on my second book. Really need to consult you about publishing through Amazon. Happy to take anybody's questions about publishing through Amazon. I've been very, very happy with Amazon. One of my latest books, I also did draft to digital, and that kind of gets you out in other places as well. And I've also done Ingram Spark as a backup. And I'll do a whole other live about those another day, but I'm just telling you, out of everything, I'm quite happy with Amazon because I love how Amazon is global and worldwide and takes care of all the taxes and the VAT and all that sort of stuff. I would never want to do any of that on my own. So no way. So anyways, always happy to take anybody's questions. If you have more questions about ISBNs, questions about publishing, questions about Amazon, writing books, whatever, please let me know and just send me a DM. I'm always happy to talk with people. So I think that's it for me today. I kind of going a little over time. I'm going to blame it on Bitno Gillian. And next week, we'll be back with another guest and we'll be talking more about books. Okay. See you next time. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Easy Peasy Books, From Author to Authority. If you found value in today's episode, I'd be grateful if you could leave us a review. It helps other aspiring authors discover our podcast. To learn more about writing, publishing, and leveraging your business book, visit my website at easypeasybooks.com.